This is Gemara and Gittin and Daf Pei Gimel, as we are in the final home stretch, the final little bit more than a week of this incredible Masechta. We pick it up at Pei Beis, Amid Beis, 5 lines from the bottom, continuing the discussion of a girushin, of a divorce that has, at some level, strings attached. Let's see. Says the Gemara, Ba'i Abaya Amar La. If a man tells his wife, you're mutter to everyone, he gives her a get. Chutz, except for Ruvain v'Shimon. You can't marry Reuven and Shimon. Okay, now that's how the story begins. V'chazar v'amar la, and then he says to her, L'Ruvain v'Shimon, to Reuven and Shimon. He doesn't say you're now mutter to Reuven and Shimon. He doesn't say Reuven and Shimon are now included in the divorce. He just adds on, L'Ruvain v'Shimon. Says the Gemara, Ma'u, what exactly does the husband mean? Mi amrinan, do we say, my da'asar shara, that which he said originally was asar. Reuven and Shimon were not included, are now yes included. Oidamora perhaps. My da'asar shara, umad shara asar. Maybe what he means to say is, originally he said you're mutter to everyone, you're not mutter to Reuven and Shimon. Maybe he means now to say you're mutter to Reuven and Shimon, but you're not mutter to anyone else. Continues the Gemara, if you're going to say, as we turn over to Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, if you're going to say Mad Asar Shara, if you're going to say that the first option, that the one that he said, which was mutter, now Reuven and Shimon, now he's saying is mutter. Asks the Gemara, what if he didn't say L'Reuven v'Shimon? He didn't say the two people that were included. What if he says L'Reuven? Top line of Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. What if he just says L'Reuven Mahu? What is the din? Does he mean L'Reuven v'adin L'Shimon? V'haidik Amar L'Reuven, and why did he just say L'Reuven then? That was the first thing he said. Or maybe he means, no, I'm permitting you now only to Reuven. If you're going to tell me the Reuven Davka that he's permitting specifically to Reuven, L'Shimon Ma'u. What if he says just L'Shimon? L'Shimon v'adin L'Reuven. Does he mean you're now mutter to Shimon and as well to Reuven? Shimon, and why did he say Shimon? Mishum desalik minei. That was the last thing he said. Or maybe he means Davka to Shimon. You are now permitted. Gemara doesn't answer the Shaila. Bayi Ravashi with another Shaila. Af l'Shimon Ma'u. What if he originally says that you're also to Reuven and Shimon? Now he says Af l'Shimon. Af is the even, the also going Reuven kai. And the Gemara gives one big large take you on all these shaylas. Continues the Gemara dealing with the opinion of Rav Eliezer in the Mishnah. Rav Eliezer in the Mishnah, as we started the parak yesterday, taught us that in the case where one which we already said means chutz, except for pliny, you're mutter to everyone aside for a certain guy. Rav Eliezer didn't have a problem with this. Rav Eliezer said it's okay. So says the Gemara Tana Rabban on the 2 dots, 10 lines down. The first one line is la'acher. Says the Gemara la'acher p'tir also Rav Eliezer after Rav Eliezer was nifter. Nichnasu, they entered. Arba zikenim, 4 elders, lahishiv al devarav, to question, to ask, to refute the din of Rav Eliezer. Eluhein, who are these 4 giants? Rav Yisai Glili, Rav Tarfin, Rav Lazvan Azariah, Rav Akiva. 4 Gedolei Adar came to say Rav Eliezer said in the case of chutz, it's a good get. We disagree. And now the Gemara is going to go through the 4 questions on Rav Eliezer, and then the Gemara is going to dissect each one individually. So says the Gemara, Nene Rabbi Tarfin v'amar, Rav Tarfin asks, Hare, shal chazu v'nisis la'echav shel zeh. What happens if this one goes and marries, this woman goes and marries the brother of the guy that was excluded in the get? Chutz mei Reuven, so she marries Reuven's brother. Shenesra alav. Umeis b'lo ibanim. And then the one that she married dies without children. So what happens? She now falls l'yibam to her ex-husband's brother. Who's her ex-husband's brother? The person in the original Tanai that she was not allowed to marry. Again, Reuven divorced, let's say use the word Reuven. John divorces his wife and gives a get and says, you're mutter to everyone except for Reuven. No problem. Rabbi Eliezer says it's a good get. This woman goes and marries Shimon. Shimon dies. What's the halacha? She falls the yibum. To whom? To Shimon's brother. To Reuven. But Reuven, she's not going to marry in the original condition. Says the Gemara, Loi Nimsa, this asks Rav Tarfon, Rav Eliezer, Loi Nimsa zeh oiker davar min ha-Torah. Can't be that now what's going to happen is the original condition in the get is going to uproot a din in the Torah. It's going to uproot and disallow yibum from happening. Holamadata, so what must you learn? Shein zeh krisos. Must not be a good get. Kasha of Rav Tarfon on Rav Eliezer. Number 2, Rav Yisrael asks as follows. Rav Yisrael seemingly has just a very almost simple and fundamental shaila on Rav Eliezer. Rav Eliezer, you're allowing this get of a chutz, which makes her mutter the whole world aside for a certain person. How can it be? How do we ever find that asr lazeh mutter lazeh? You're asr to one person, mutter another. Ha'asr asr la'akol, va'mutter l'mutter la'akol. Whoever you're mutter to, it's 100% asr, 100%. Ha'lamadata says Rav Yossi Aglili on Rav Eliezer she'ein zeh krisis. Number 3, Nana Rav Elazar ben Azariah v'aymer. Asks Rav Elazar ben Azariah perhaps even a more fundamental question. Krisis. What does the word krisis mean? Which, as we read the Mishnah yesterday, we said this is really pshan the chachamim probably. But what does the word krisis mean? Davar hakoreis beina lebeina. Something that severs between husband and wife. Halamadata. If this is not fully severing, according to you, Rav Eliezer, this chutz, she's mutter the whole world aside for a certain guy. She'ein zeh krisos. And finally, Nana Rav Akiva v'amar. If this woman goes and it says lechem min hashuk, she marries any person, not Reuven, not Shimon, another guy. Let's call him Shlomo. V'hayula banim, and she has children. V'nis armlo niskarsha, and one day she gets divorced from the second husband. V'amda v'nisis lazeh, and then she goes and marries whom? Shenesrelov. She marries the guy in the original condition. Again, the case was she got to get, she's not going to marry Reuven. She went and she married Shlomo. Eventually she gets divorced from Shlomo. And who does she then go back and marry? Reuven, the person in the original get. So what happens? So now that she married the person that was the condition in the get, now that she violated the get, what happens? The get is batal. And ubanei mamzerim, all the kids that she now had should be mamzerim. Halamadata she'ein zeh krisis. So therefore, ask Rav Akiva, this is impossible. Must be, it's not a good get. Davar acher, another way of learning the kasha of Rabbi Akiva. We are on the first. Well, our Gemara just ran away from us, but here we are. We're on the first very wide line of Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. If this Reuven that she is usher to is a kain, and what happens? So Reuven's a kain, and the one who originally divorced her died. So now this woman was married to John. John gave her a get and said he can't marry Reuven. Reuven's a kain, so she can't marry Reuven. After John dies, what's this woman's status? She's now an almana. With regard to Reuven, with regard to the whole world, she's divorced because she got a get. But with regard to Reuven, she's an almana. So loy nimsa almana etzla yu grusha etzel kol adam. Ask Rav Akiva, how can it be? With regard to the whole world, she's an grusha. And a grusha is aser to a kain. But with regard to the kain, she's an almana because she was never mutter to him, and therefore she should be allowed to marry him. Why? V'kal v'chaymer. U'ma'im grusha, third white line. She kala, the isser of a grusha is not as severe Asura, when she was the Grusha, she was forbidden Bishvil Tzad Gerishin Sheba. She's permitted, she was also to Kohen due to the Gerishin. Ish as Ish. Is it not true that when she's a married woman, she Chamura, which is of course more Chamer, Loi Kal Shekain, Halamarata Shein Ze Krisos. So again, can't be that she'll be able to marry this guy afterwards. Halamarata Shein Ze Krisos. So 4 different kashas on Rav Eliezer. Amar len Rav Yeshua comments on this story. It says Rav Yeshua ein meishivin es ha'ari lachar misa. Don't ask questions on the Ari, on the lion, on Rav Eliezer after he dies. Amar Rava. Kulu islu bircha. All the questions that were asked, which were 4 gedalim, but we'll call it 5 questions because the final one, Rav Kiva, had 2 versions. All of them have a bircha. We could answer them. Levar, Rav Elazar ben Azariah, the Leslie bircha. Except for Rav Elazar ben Azariah, which if you go up about 6 lines before the white lines, he said, Davar HaKaris bin Elabinan, there's no creases here. Last Lupircha. Tanami Hachi, Amar Rav Yaisi, Raya Aniyas Div Rav Eliezer, Rav Elazar ben Azariah, Medivrei Kulam. So 5 questions on Rav Eliezer, says the Gemara. All of them we could theoretically answer, aside for the one question of Rav Elazar ben Azariah, in which he asked that there is a lacking in krisos in a case in which she's now mutter to the whole world. Continues the Gemara, Amar Mar. We're about 10 lines into the white lines. Now we're going to dissect one by one each of the kashas on Rav Eliezer. Amar Mar, says the Gemara, Nena Rav Tarfin ve'amar Rishal Chazu. This woman goes and says Lechem Shalza, and she marries the brother. She doesn't marry Reuven, she marries Shimon. Shenesser Lavu Meis Labanim. And then Shimon dies without children, so she falls to Yibum, to whom? So first that she does her to. How could it be that it comes out that it's being Oiker, the Yibum? Says the Gemara, what's the kash? Oiker? What do you mean? Ihu Oiker. He is the one that is being Oiker. Ihu Oiker, excuse me. Is he uprooting? Elamasne lakadavar min hatayra. It's not that the original husband is proactively uprooting a din of Yibum. No! His original condition is doing what? His original condition is a condition which could eventually result in an uprooting of the din of Yibum. Says the Gemara, Masne? Really, is he even doing that? Mika Amar, did the husband say law to her? Loi Sagid Loi Mitzvah Lei Lachua. Did the husband say to her that she has to marry the brother? Meaning, what's the big deal? The husband didn't require her to do this. She brought onto the story onto herself. So what happens is it's going to result in an uprooting of Yibum. What's the problem? Ela Dahu Gavra. Says the Gemara, so it's that he's causing someone to uproot something from the Torah. Gairim? Really? Says the Gemara, if there was an issue to be Gairim, if there was an issue to be the cause of an eventual uprooting of a din of the Torah, then Bas Achiv, one should never be allowed to marry his niece, his brother's daughter. Why? Shema Yamas, he might die below Ibanim. In himself, what's going to happen is that his wife is going to fall Yibam to her father. And you're causing an uprootal of the din of Yibam, which we of course know is not true. Says the Gemara, Hainu Pircha. You're right. That is indeed the kasha. That is the reason why this question of Rav Tarfin on Rav Eliezer is not a good question. Rav Eliezer would, although he's no longer alive, Rav Eliezer would have an answer. Says the Gemara, but one second. So we just to clarify, we were explaining the whole time that we're going with the Pshan and the Mishnah of Chutz, because the Gemara proved that the Mishnah was talking about Chutz. But now, in each stage, the Gemara is going to qualify and clarify if that's really true. Says the Gemara, B'mai, if the case of Mishnah is Chutz, Mishnah Rav Elazar, that's the case, Mishnah Rav Elazar. Rav Elazar, in such a case, believe it or not, would indeed allow her to do Yibam. This person was in the Tanai. Rav Elazar would say, no, you could do Yibam. How could that be? The Tanya learned in a Braisa. Moi de Rav Elazar megaris the ishta v'amala re'em mataris l'chol adam chutz mei ploini. It's an explicit price that says that if she goes and marries someone else, if she marries someone in the interim, she'll become mutter to this guy. So if she married the brother and then he died, she'll be mutter to him. Ella ba'almanas, must be that we're going Rav Eliezer is going with almanas, and this would have been the question of Rav Eliezer, but the Gemara is answering that it is not actually a question. Question number 2. When you're asr, you're fully asr, or you are fully mutter. 15 lines to the bottom. First one line is mutter. Says the Gemara, really? Rav Yosef, what's your kasha? Veloi, vare truma ukachim. We know there are many entities in the world. Truma and kachim, shasur lazeh, mutaris lazeh. So what's the big deal to be mutter to one and asr to another? Says the Gemara, no. B'isr isha ka'aminun. I'm asking about in the Isra of ishas. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? Vare arayis, all arayis. B'ishas ka'aminun. No, we mean through marriage. Hare ishas ish. Hainu pircha. Every case of ishas ish is through marriage, usher to certain people. Says the Gemara, that is the kasha on Rav Yosef. Ubemai again asked the Gemara, Ilima almanas. So if now you're going to say that Rav Eliezer was going with almanas, Hari hoter atzlei biznos. It's not true, because almanas means here's a get on condition you do not marry Ruvain, which means, theoretically, if she were to go and be mizane with Ruvain, it wouldn't be a violation of the Tanai. Ella b'chutz. So you're right, it must be the Rav Eliezer is going with the case of chutz. Number 3, of course, we're skipping Rav Eliezer ben Azariah, because that's the one that does not have an answer. Nana Rav Akiva v'amar. She goes and she marries someone else. And she has children and then she gets divorced or he died. And then she went and married the person who was the condition in the original get. That was the kasha of Rav Akiva. He says, says the Gemara, really, Rav Akiva, this is a kasha? Then you should never be able to give a get al tanai. We've had a whole mesechta of case of Gittin al tanai. You should never be able to. Why? Maybe you won't eventually fulfill the tanai, and what's going to happen? Retroactively, Hainu pircha. That's the kasha on Rav Akiva. Ubemai, what's the case? Again, Mishnah Shari Rav Elazar. You can't say it's a case of chutz, because in the case of chutz, Rav Elazar indeed permits. Tanya, like we just saw a moment ago, Moed Rav Elazar, Megarish the Ish of Amla Rem does chutz chutz with Lani V'Alchim V'Nis Zachem and Hashak V'Nis Arm Lo Nis Garish V'Darish Lashon Esolav Ela Be'al Minas Davar Acher. It's the second kasha of Akiva, 3 lines from the bottom. Harei. Said Rav Akiva, can't be, I'll tell you a kavah chaymer. 2 lines on the bottom. Agusha she kala asura. Mishab said gerishin shabai tish chamur lo kol shekain. Ubemai, says the Gemara. Ilema ba'almanas, as we turn over to Pei Gimel Hamebeis Hari Gusha Slai Business. Again, with regard to that kayin, at some level she is a grusha to him, with the fact that she cannot be mizana to him. So rather, says the Gemara, Ella bechutz, must be that what's the case that we're referred to? Must be a case of chutz. Rav Akiva, I chutz virle leis of chutz. I amanas virle leis amanas. So it's coming out that we have 2 cases of Rav Akiva answering. One is chutz and one is almanas. Says the Gemara, Rav Akiva, just choose your poison. Answers the Gemara, Rav Akiva, shemile dikadamar chutz, vikadamar almanas. As we started off today's Gemara, the Mishnah learned chutz, the Brisa learned almanas. So man damar chutz, hi pircha. Instead of Rav Akiva, if you learn chutz, this is the kasha man damar almanas, hi pircha. Says the Gemara, my pircha, what's all kasha Rav Akiva? Ine me'isr kahuna shayni. Rav Eliezer nami misr kuna kamaisila. The whole source of Eliezer is isr kuna. And those are the 5 questions on Rav Eliezer, with the 4 ways of answering up the kashas. Rav Eliezer ben Azariah increases to only one that stands the test of time. We're at the 2 dots, 8 lines down, Begilma Mebeis, Amr Lehen Rav Yeshua. So Rav Yeshua says these 4 Gedolim, Rav Akiva, Rav Yisek Lili, Rav Elazar, Rav Akiva and Rav Elazar ben Azariah. Amr Lehen Rav Yeshua, Yeshua Nazari Lachar Misa. Says the Gemara, from the words of Rav Yeshua, what does it sound like? L'meimra, Rav Yeshua kavasei svirle. Sounds like Rav Yeshua himself holds like Rav Eliezer. Vayu nami biver habarech. Rav Yeshua was involved in all the kashas. Says the Gemara, Hachikam. This is what Rav Yeshua means. Hachikam Arluhu. Lididi nami asleep here. I also have kashas. Miu bein lididi, bein lididach. We might have kashas. However, ein meshivin esari lachar misa. Says the Gemara, okay, umay pirchas Rav Yeshua. What was Rav Yeshua's kasha? Titanium Rav Yeshua, makich koid me'avaya l'shniya, le'koid me'avaya rishon. It says Rav Yeshua, we should equate this woman prior her second marriage to prior her first marriage. Ma koid me'avaya rishona. Just like before her first marriage, to lo yagida b'inish achrina, she was not connected to any man. And that was Rav Yeshua's kasha. However, Rav Yeshua agrees that at the end of the day, we cannot ask any questions. Says the Gemara, Gufa. Now we're going to go back to what we said on the bottom of Pei Gimel and Aleph. We said it 2 times, as actually two times we pointed out a case that Rav Eliezer is going to admit. Moider Rav Eliezer megarish ishtai. So divorces his wife. Va'amar la, and he says to her, again, this is the case for our Mishnah. But what does she do? So Rav Eliezer held in that case, it's a good gerushin. But then, she went to marry someone else, not that guy. And that guy died or divorced her. Rav Eliezer then holds, since she married someone in the interim, she is now allowed to marry the person that she was usher to. Asks the Gemara, Heishiv Rav Shimon Elazar tshuva l'divrei Rav Eliezer. Shimon Elazar asks the following: Heichon matzinu? How is this possible? Shezeh oiser v'zeh matir. What's going on over here? By this woman going and marrying a second man, that's going to go and permit her to marry the first guy. Asks Rav Shimon Elazar that this should be a physical impossibility. Marriage can't make her more mutter to someone else. Says Rav Shimon Elazar, no way. Asks Gemara, really? V'loi? Is this such a kasha? V'yirei Yavama. We have a regular case of Yavama. What happens in every case of Yavama? The Baal asers and the Yavama matters. Answers the Gemara, Hasam Yibam Hudika Asala. The presence of the Yibam, the Yavam is what asers. Dime Baal, Ashar Vekaima. Says the Gemara, okay, fine. But what about Nidarim? We know Nidarim. Hare Nidarim, about 15 lines of the wide lines. First one line is Nidarim. Hari Nidarim, the Nidarim, Aiser v'chacham atir. One makes a neder, and who permits it? The chacham. So again, we see this concept that someone else can make you mutter. Ha Amar Rav Yechanan, says the Gemara, no, ain't chacham matir klum. It's not true. We learned all in Nidarim, and the chacham is not the one that permitting the vow. Elo b'charot, it only works with regret. Meaning the chacham is that which procures, the chacham pulls out that there was a element of charata, and then mimela, that means the get is not chal, but it's not that the chacham, it means the neder is no longer. It's not that the chacham creates a heter. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Hari afaras abal. What about when the husband undoes a neder, the isha, noidaris, the woman makes the neder, a baal mefer? Says the Gemara, again, nothing doing. Asam k'Rav Pinchas mishmei derava, dam Rav Pinchas mishmei derava. He noidares, Kola noidares, al das baila noidares. When she makes a neder, al das baila he noidares, she does it on with the mindset of the husband, and that is the reason why. That is the reason why the husband could be the one to be mefer the neder. Now, finally, we wrap it up with neder of husband Azar v'Amar krisos davar kares ben elu beina halamadata shein ze krisos, and that's the good question of Eliezer. Rabbanan says the Gemara in the Mishnah, Rabbanan high krisos my avdei. What do the Rabbanan do with this pasuk of krisos? Answers the Gemara. The reason being that when we look, if we were to look back in the Mishnah on Daf Beis, the Chachamim seem to have a different reason why it's Aser. As we'll see right now, answers the Gemara, my avdei, mibaylich l'tanya, a different case. If someone gives his wife a get on condition you don't drink wine, it's not krisis. They say the Chacham. So the Chacham learn from this pasuk, you never could have a condition that lasts forever. What does Eliezer? Old Mikaris krisis nafka. What does the Chacham? Old Mikaris krisis loy darshi bei. The Karis krisis they don't learn it from. Excuse me, I read this incorrectly. It doesn't mean the Chachamim in the Mishnah. V'Rabbanan and all the other shitais that we just quoted, who do not argue on Rav Eliezer from the pasuk of krisos. What do they do? Excuse me, it wasn't going back in the Mishnah. What do all the other Rabbanan, Rav Eliezer, Rav Yosi, Rav Kiva, Rav Yeshua, what do they all say? So explains the Gemara, they use its pasuk for something else, that there can never be a condition for la'olam. A condition for la'olam is an inherent lacking of krisos. We'll pick it up from Rav the next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.